Live.
Yeah, y'all
I don't see nothing. Oh, here we go.
Like you live. You live, Wyntis.
I know why we seem like we just froze. Like we just sitting here. Don't it seem like that?
I'm do, Donna.
Yeah.
What y'all live, man? Y'all can go ahead and talk there, hear y'all voices.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put up the screen. You can go ahead and talk. You may hear y'all voices.
We'll give the people a few minutes to get back on here and join us. Well, we live.
Yeah.
I didn't know you was ready for us to go. I'm trying to share it into my groups. Look, Mr. Mays, let's go ahead and get this party started tonight for these people. They came here for a show, and we're going to give them a show tonight. You know what?
I hope we give them real life.
We're going to give them
That's what I'm concerned about, real life. More than the show.
Well, you know, I'm concerned about
serious real life things.
It is. You know, I got my first question. I just want to come in higher right off the bat. I
want to finish saying my condolences to the Dupree family as it relates to him passing yesterday. And we're going to keep them in our prayers where I am. So.
Yes, sir. So look, Mr. Mays, I watched the council meeting Monday, and I seen where you wanted to get a special order to talk about the ARPA funds, right? This was the second week you came in there with the list of them applications. Now I want to take you back, and I want to see if you remember this. When y'all first started with them ward meetings, and y'all let Ernst & Young in for $1 million because they want that 4-year contract. You said, no, let's see how they do for a year. And so everybody agreed with that. And so they had, the mayor had his meeting with Ernst & Young, and then y'all had y'all meetings. You had your form, and then I specifically remember when Councilwoman Priestley had hers, you took some forms, and she said, no, the mayor stopped by, and I got some of his forms. Now, he had people filling out forms, too. And it was said that at the end of all the meetings, y'all was going to come back as co-equal branches of government. Y'all was going to review the forms together and move forward from there. But y'all been spending the people all of their damn money. And now they want to have a meeting Monday, the same meeting that you wanted to have for the last 2 weeks. Now they didn't call one for Monday. What you think about that? I think it's some bullshit.
I don't remember it exactly that way.
What time you remember?
What I do recall is that we voted to have meetings to get public input on the north, south, east, and west part of town.
Right.
The first one was held at Hasselbrink Senior Center on Holmes Street.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, the second one was maybe held on the west side at a church that Tanya Burns had set up. And then the third one might have been at a church on the east side, Ashbury, and the fourth one might have been at Nethercook School. Okay. So those were voted upon by the council to allow public input. I was president of the council at the time, and you know, when I went out in them 4 areas, I didn't look at it as no particular council person's form. It was the city council person's form at all 4 places. It was the council. It was a special meeting held for that purpose outside of City Hall.
Right.
And we can do that. The rules allow us to have special council meetings away from City Hall as long as we post them right. As president of the City Council, and as the information spreaded about the COVID-19 money, the relief money, the ARPA funds, I started getting letters and a lot of phone calls. I figured, and it's evidenced in the February 14th meeting of the council. You can go pull that meeting up now by simply typing in 011422 Clint City Council meeting. 021422 Clint City Council meeting.
Mhm.
And that council meeting will evidence that I brought a piece of paper, a form that the president at the time me had created, and I urged the council to vote on it and pass it so people could put their thoughts on paper. I don't know what Mr. Neely then was doing. I don't know if they had people putting stuff on paper, but that form was voted on in a 6-2 vote under the leadership that I was providing as president. And so it's an official form. It's an official form. People are still going to council meeting to fill them out to this day. And so we have hundreds of them. And I've talked to Ernst and Young yesterday. They're gonna and continue to look at them. And if people want repairs for their roofs and windows and homes, they're gonna tell us how much is being requested. Some want 10,000, some want 20, some want 5, some want 50, and there's hundreds of them. Some people put in for to start businesses, to expand their businesses. In each category of money, we have an opportunity with the remaining 70-some million to break it down into categories and get the voters, the residents, money. It ain't that difficult.
Right.
The problem is you got politicians falling all over each other trying to get credit. I'm the one who did it. Mays did this. Mays didn't do that. Neely did this. Neely didn't do that. And it's ridiculous because they're holding up the allocations of money and they ain't getting it to people in a timely manner. And some of the money been there for over a year.
Yeah, I think you're using that money for campaign funds because, like, you see all of this money pouring into the city this week. Like they tried to say that land bank got $40 million, but I found out that like they added all of the money up. But since the money then came in from the state for land bank, do you think they're gonna give the city residents back the $18 million that the city gave them to tear down houses?
I never thought and don't think now that it was designed to give the 16 million back.
Oh, okay, 16. Okay.
The majority of land bank houses are in the city of Flint, not in the out county. And so you got so many houses that need to be either remodeled or torn down, and they couldn't handle them. The land bank has the opportunity to get money from the state, the federal government. They should be applying for grants. But when the money came into Flint, and since houses was in Flint, they reached out and put their wish list in for $16 million.
Right.
And as they put their wish list in for $16 million, they informed us that if we put the $16 million in, the Genesee County would put X amount of dollars, the Mott Foundation would put X amount of dollars, and whoever else.
Oh, see, I already knew this money was
$45
coming.
million.
Okay.
And so that was part of the deal. We'll put some in and it'll help everybody else put stuff in. So when you say getting money back, that money to go to the land bank was never voted on to get money back. It was always voted on in a package of money for a total of $45 million to tear down X amount of houses inside the city of Flint.
By 2024.
Some this year, some next year. The rhetoric of tearing down all houses by 2024 is something being said by Mr. Neely. He tells lies and half truth. That's just like the pipe replacement. This man been in office for 3 years.
Yeah.
The money been sitting there, and it don't take 3 years to finish the pipes. If you listen to folks and the way they explain things, I'm telling you, this person who the media covers, the media, a lot of them is owned by certain big time white folks. We on social media.
Right.
We ain't got no time limit, so to say.
No.
We could sit here and talk for 2 hours, but we got to sort out fact from fiction.
There you go.
Some of the fiction is on purpose. It's said to make folks look good. For example, if you get to 2024 and all the abandoned houses ain't tore down, it's going to be a lie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sit here today and tell you when you get to 2024, all abandoned houses won't be tore down. That's some campaign rhetoric, and there's some stuff being put out there, because if you tear all of them down in July of 2024, in August, somebody could move and you got another abandoned house.
Right. But you got a rodent problem now. Tearing down all them houses. I seen groundhogs having coffee the other morning on the porch. The groundhogs is big. They everywhere. They're taking over the city.
Well, I tell people, I get calls all the time about animals in the city of Flint. If you're in Florida, you're going to have alligators and snakes. If you're in Mississippi, you might have snakes. Everywhere you've got some type of rodent. If you in New York, you might have rats. We got squirrels, groundhogs. I agree that the problem is worse when you got abandoned houses. You can have animals live in it. You know, I've got an abandoned house next door to me, and I be seeing that little groundhog humping and running. I'm kind of scared of it. I'm scared of a mouse, you know, when they shoot across. And so it's things that can be done to make those animal problems better. But I've seen a reindeer on Fleming and Carpenter Road.
I seen a reindeer on Prospect Street.
Well, a deer. We say reindeer, but a deer. So animals is one thing. I've had the land bank put poison at a house before. I had a lady call me in my area, and she believes that the mice and rats that she have is coming from St. Agnes, that Baker property, and abandoned houses, and she might be right. She took a video, and I seen 4 or 5 of them hopping.
It was big. They was big rats. Yeah. But speaking of St. Agnes, that's another issue for the city. I know for a fact 2 people right now that Mayor Neely didn't promise St. Agnes to. So you think he using that property as a campaign like handle to try to juggle people around with? Because that's how he did us. He promised us a lot of stuff, and then when he got in, it was like, I don't know you.
So y'all fell for that.
I fell for the banana in the tailpipe.
Let me say this. When the 6th Ward didn't have a black council person, the first person who I can recall in my younger years ran for that spot was Lenore Crowley. Yeah. And then after Lenore Crowley ran, Mr. Neely ran, but he called me over to his house on Bigot, and I met with his campaign crew in the basement of his house. We helped him get elected. I did the same thing for former Councilman Ed Taylor. Miss Stanley asked me to help Woodrow Stanley get elected when he was the 2nd Ward council person and he wanted to be mayor. A lot of people know that I helped Williamson. I've helped 3, 4 mayors get elected. Juan Twez Davis, when he wanted to get elected, he called me. I have a political consulting firm. Right. I've had it for over 30 years. I've helped judges, Ramona Williams Roberts, council persons, B.B. Nolan, and these people are still living, some of them.
Mhm.
They will tell you that I'm going to tell you the truth. They called on me. I helped them. It's a method. It's a mechanical way to try to get people elected. Like right now, if you look at the primary election in this race, you had more people registered to vote in the city of Flint who did not vote
Right.
that could have voted.
And that was sad.
That's
sad.
been going on for many years. So when you look at the numbers, we always say the people who vote are going to vote. Now, last time that Neely and Weaver ran, you supported
I supported Neely.
Neely.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people who have supported Neely, but they learned something.
We sure did. The hard way.
They learned that he would trick them.
Mm-hmm.
He's self-centered.
Yes.
He's all about him and just his family. That's the same type of character trait why Donald Trump was only another character.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be telling lies and half truth because it'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
People will find you out.
Yes.
People will talk about you.
Yep.
And that becomes your character and reputation.
Right.
Now, when he was on the council, he was self-centered. That's why he couldn't put the votes together for president.
He said he wrote the most ordinance ever as a councilman ever that's been here.
And I keep telling you, he be lying.
You ain't gonna tell me I know.
Him say that he has introduced more ordinances in law
that's what
than
he
any
said.
council person
That's what
in the
he
history
said.
of the city of Flint.
That's
At the
what he
time,
said.
you supported him, you believed that.
That sure did.
Let me say this. If you go in the city council chambers,
Mm-hmm.
you look on the back wall,
Mm-hmm.
you see mayors from the 1800s.
Yes, you do.
It's been councilmen and council persons, mainly men, white men.
Right.
And if you look at the ordinance book, it's thick.
Mm-hmm.
The ordinance that I can recall Neely introducing was a vicious dog ordinance. He wanted to keep it exclusive to pit bulls.
Damn
and
dog.
the animals activists came out and said that was discriminatory. I can tell you 100% of all the council people dating back to the 1800s to even now with me, he have not introduced and wrote.
But it sounds good, and that's what he liked. He liked stuff that sound good, and he feeds you them big word salads and stuff.
He feeds you them big words.
He used to. He don't feed me that stuff no more.
From city council. Now look at in Lansing, his claim to fame is getting a picture hung in Lansing of somebody black. That's good. He introduced a statute or whatever to stop state police chases because somebody got killed. I think it was like Pearson and North. The state police was chasing him.
Well, now, they still chasing him.
Now his claim is that if you listen close and check the record, he said he stopped police chases in the city of Flint.
Sure did. At them investigative hearings you had, they came right down there.
A couple of weeks ago, from the information I got, a young man was involved in a police case by Flint police and have been killed near the corner of Pearson
and MLK.
I've been talking and working with his mother and the police.
She came down. That's when she came down to council the other night. I seen her.
Yeah.
That's when your counterpart said all lives matter.
In the election period, people ain't admitting it. You know what it reminds me of? What happened on Pulaski Street when they didn't think them two young children was in the house, and they were. But right now, the police chase stuff is being debated and covered up because, according to him, there's no more police chases in the city of Flint.
Where's the chief at?
Who do the chief and department heads work for?
It look like they work on their own because Whittaker came up there and told y'all I ain't coming back no more.
Whittaker might have said that, but that wasn't orchestrated about Whittigan. In my political opinion, and I have the right
Yes,
to
you
it,
do.
Mr. Neely had Whittigan say that and issue that letter not coming to meetings because of that purchase
Mm-hmm.
and bid rigging of the purchase of cars.
Yeah.
In other words,
That
if you're in
alleged
the
bid
middle of an
rigging.
election, now it ain't alleged.
You don't think it's alleged?
No, that's what you think.
Now I want to hear it.
It wasn't alleged because Miss Foster, who works in that finance department, her husband was the person who was going to get the order for the $500,000 worth of cars at the dealership. They said that every dealership in Genesee County had been hand delivered.
When have you ever heard of something like that?
Well, I
Going
got
around
friends in the dealership business.
Yeah.
When Don and Patsy Lou died, they sold to Jimmy and his partner. I made one phone call with one dealership and found out that proposed for bids had not been hand delivered to dealerships.
But they ain't gonna talk
So,
about that.
well, that's why Whittigan was told by Neely not to go up to council meeting, in my political opinion, till it died down.
My political opinion, I agree, because you said this is on an even of election. And now you got the CFO not showing up. You got department heads saying what they won't do.
You got Mr. Neely canceling debates on the major TV stations with Mid-Michigan now because he don't want to answer these tough questions in front of the public.
Oh, he said
he had you hoodwinked, right?
He had me hoodwinked.
Do you know he got 1,000 or 2,000 voters who voted in the primary for him hoodwinked?
Yeah.
The race is to the finish line.
Right.
He's trying to keep his character and reputation intact for 3 more weeks.
So you know that degree is killing him. That no degree.
That was Fox News and CNN.
But our news stations won't cover it, Mr. Mays.
Channel
What the
12
hell?
did cover it. You know, he used to work at Channel 12, and when you go back and look, you know, I'm a factual type of guy.
Right.
Don Jones did the story on him, and we use the word lie and have truth. She used the word credibility. And so that's what the mainstream media have said. It's the same word, that his credibility is not good. No. But the average person ain't going to pick up on it. We were taught when you tell one lie, you got to tell 2 or 3 to cover it up. I've been at church with Neely for over 30 years. My father, Pastor Mays, was the pastor at Shiloh.
Right.
I'm proud of Daddy because even though he saved souls and preached the gospel, baptized Neely and them, he did a project, an economic development project that still stands to this day. Shiloh Commons Apartments on Pasadena named the apartments after the church. And I remember when Woodrow Stanley was in office, and you know, I was moving around with Councilman Taylor. I know the mechanics of how we put money together.
Ed Taylor, he was on the council, right?
For 14 years, guess who was like his campaign manager?
Who?
I was. I kind of did his absentee.
What is he doing downtown now?
Trying to get a couple coins. In other words,
what's his title though?
They say Deputy Chief of Staff, the same type of title Chief of Staff was something that Murdoch had. See, Murdoch lost that position when he went to fight the state police after
and
he
you
had
know,
an
nearly
issue
leaked
with
that.
Trump.
Nearly leaked that to the press.
Well, let me say this. He didn't leak to the press when his chief of staff jumped on me in Rouge.
No, he wrote
and I had to go to the Hurley Hospital.
Yeah.
He issued a press release.
Yeah.
You're 100% right, saying that I was cussing and doing. I couldn't believe it.
I was a little premature.
A church member then put this out in the middle of an investigation, and it wasn't true about me, a church member.
Right.
Somebody his dad had baptized and married him and his wife once they got grown. Daddy was the pastor for 27 years. At this point, the longest serving pastor at Shiloh.
Okay.
And I wonder if he'd have did that if daddy was still living. My point is, he will lie on his church members. He will lie about degrees. He will lie about bid rigging and policy. We had people in high school like that. Just lie for no reason.
Well, you know what? He said he was mad at him. He said he was mad because when your father was on his deathbed, he wanted to see him and not you.
I don't know.
That's
I don't know nothing about that.
I'm telling
Y'all better
you.
quit listening to
I'm
that.
telling you what
Daddy
he said,
stayed
man.
on Cherry Line.
I'm telling you.
And to the best of my
I'm
knowledge,
telling you what he said.
Daddy died in his sleep.
What?
They took him out the bedroom. My brother
I'm
worked
telling you
for
what he
Moon's,
said.
Pastor Stewart, and Reggie went in and got him. I was at work at GM. The supervisor came and got me off the line and said, your father have passed. You need to head for home. When I got to Cherry Line, it was people all in the streets. Daddy had a bad heart. The week or two before, Martha May is still living. I sat at the table with Dad, and we talked about what was happening. This guy, if he lied on his relationship with me and my dad, it's getting ridiculous. It's out of hand. But the majority of Flint people, the voters don't know that.
No.
He's trying to hoodwink them with, I introduced the most ordinance when I was on council. That's a lie. I named the street after Clarissa Shields. You could name a street after you, Clarissa Shields, or nobody without a vote of the council.
That's right.
We voted on renaming them streets in that process under Mayor Weaver. We did the Dayton family.
Right.
And Clarissa Shields came up. And so
that was before him. Clarissa Shields was.
Now it might have been voted when he was there.
Okay.
But the point is the policy and the procedure of doing it started with the Dayton family before he got there. And they ain't put that sign up.
No, he won't do anything for anybody that supported
the problem and the point I'm trying to make is don't be so self-centered.
Right.
If I'm in that position and I know that it was done by the legislative body, I was council president at the time. I'm going to invite him, you, and me, Clarissa Shields, and the public. He want to make people think I did that.
Right.
Floyd McCree, who was mayor, and back when Floyd McCree was mayor, the council would vote. It wasn't like how we vote now for mayor. Floyd McCree was mayor, but he was known and became somewhat famous on his own merit. But when Woody Etherly and preachers and Reverend Robson protested about open housing, blacks couldn't stay in certain parts of town.
Right.
And so what happens now, Mr. Neely has not did no policy. When Weaver was in there, we did the strategy to declare the water emergency.
Right.
It brought in over $700 million. Celebrities, President Obama came in. That's going to be her legacy.
Yeah.
And we were trying to finish up the pipes. The secondary water source that he brags about, he didn't do that.
He didn't?
No, we did that under Weaver. And so he's got to tell me what his policy is and what he's done for folks. That's going to be his legacy.
Well, you know what he wanted to do? He said, I got to get rid of the water crisis. That's why he says y'all in recovery now.
That's a bad legacy because Gretchen Whitmer and Mr. Neely was not on the battlefield with us. Your pastor, Wallace Hill,
yes, sir.
Pastor Overton, was assigned by Pastor Harris from the Concerned Pastors, the road with us.
Right. I remember we had that march when you were Sam Riddle,
not only Sam Riddle, Jesse Jackson,
Jesse Jackson.
Judge Mathis and them. And just a lot of people came in. I was talking to Will Smith's wife, Jada Pickett Smith, in the Library City Hall. But my point was Pastor Randolph
Yep.
was the moderator for the Great Lakes District.
Yes, sir.
Pastor Overton is the moderator now.
Mhm.
We had Leanne Walters, them come to my house.
Mhm.
They were white, and they was like y'all all on Facebook and, looking at stuff. And for Alyssa Flower,
Mhm.
in my ward, she was white. And, Melissa Mays. I
Right.
say, the Lord sure do move in a certain way. Here we got a white maze and a black maze.
Y'all related.
Yeah, but my point is, I knew from Reverend Robson and Pastor Avery Aldridge, if you're going to be effective in the water crisis, you got to reach out to them pastors.
That's right.
The NAACP.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what happened. Folks reached out. I'm the one who tapped Trishelle Young on the shoulder at the Afro-American Hall of Fame dinner and said, I got a case for you to look at. And then she put lawyers around. Neely and Gretchen Whitman wasn't in that activity.
Mm-hmm.
I came in third in the mayor's race with Wallen and Weaver.
Okay.
Just like now. After I came third, then I went to support Mayor Weaver. Pastor Overton is the one who told me, because it's 12-14 us used to meet. He said, Mays, when you go to the next council meeting, put a motion on the floor to return from the Flint River to the Detroit water. Okay, Pastor Overton.
Right.
That was a significant suggestion. No one person does something. I've said all of that, and I'm going to switch gears, but I was laying that foundation of how we came together and used the strategy more than one person, and I purposely named names and can name more. Neely and Gretchen Whitmer were nowhere around. When Neely accidentally or wrongfully, with y'all help, beat
Here we go. I know that was coming.
Beat Weaver. The point I'm trying to make, Wyntis, if I pick at you and I'm serious, is that that's when stuff stopped. He settled and agreed on that settlement on the civil side, which ain't a good settlement. People are still waiting on checks.
He said it was the floor, not the ceiling.
Right now, I'm not using them cliches.
Right.
He'll tell you children can't be what they can't see.
What?
I'm knowing all them cliches. I ain't studying the floor, the ceiling. I ain't studying you can't be what you can't see. I'm studying what it is.
Right.
Him and Gretchen, who wasn't in the fight, didn't do the hard work, should have never settled that with a $1,000 cap on adults. After adults get paid and attorney fees is absent, they'll get $600, $800. You shouldn't have put a cap on adults. Some children and their parents will get 40, 50, 100,000, whatever. And some of the damage is irreparable. You've had miscarriages and, deaths and all of that. And so he settled that structurally wrong. And I was livid and pissed. All that hard work we did. And people don't know yet. They don't know they done hit the flow on that settlement.
Right.
And might not be able to get up. You know that commercial, but I've fallen.
And I can't get up.
So let's just keep watching.
Right.
But he's hoping that he can camouflage this stuff and get 4 more years. Let me say this. Not only did Gretchen and Neely mess up that Flint civil settlement, but I was highly suspicious when we had spent millions of dollars. I had sat in courtrooms on the criminal side. Todd Flood, the special prosecutor, had these folks on the way to the penitentiary. Now, don't take my word for it. Go back and look and see the Republican governor at the time, Snyder, endorsed Gretchen Whitmer or the Republican.
Gretchen Whitmer.
And do you know who Mazarin them and all them power movers in the state of Michigan? When they did that, I said a deal is being cut.
Mhm.
They dropped the criminal charges, reinstituted them with this goofy one-man jury thing,
Right.
threw all them millions of dollars worth of testimony away. And what's happening right now? Folks ain't properly being charged.
Nope.
It took
And
us.
Snyder said he coming back and he want his misdemeanor charges dropped since they dropped the criminal
It
charges.
took us some hard work in order to correct a $12 million deficit. Make tough decisions. I'm rolling with weaving them in order to get emergency managers out.
Mhm.
You know who emergency managers had been let in and didn't do the budget, who was on the council?
Sheldon
Neely,
Yep.
Ed Taylor, Scott Kincaid, and that crowd.
Mhm.
You can say what they want to about me, but I was the finance chair. Weaver brought in Huey Newsom,
Yes.
who was now the finance director down in
Pontiac.
big time, I think, Wayne County.
Yeah.
But the point is, we corrected a $12 million deficit, had to make some tough decisions,
Yeah.
serious meetings in business. I sat at a long table with a bunch of serious folks from the federal and state government in Weaver's office.
What happened to Eric Scassoni? Or
The
something.
architect of the emergency manager
Yeah.
law, I don't even like his name, was Eric. But listen to this.
Uh-huh.
We got the emergency managers out. And in the first term, we boasted a $24 million surplus fund balance in the general fund. Significant.
Yeah.
In 3 years, in the middle of all of this rhetoric, half-truth and lies, we're now facing a $15 million deficit under the Neely
But
administration.
he want to pull that money from the ARPA funds.
The
and
ARPA
cover that.
funds can help do that, and hopefully we'll get it done. And the influx of money for the pension funds.
Mhm.
But the fact of the matter is, he overspent. And when you look at the various ways, for example, I can tell you 100%, not 90%. This guy shouldn't be driving around in a city vehicle pumping gas while the police and fire department pump gas. He should be paying for his gas just like other mayors and other city council people. Ed Taylor and these people, Phil Phelps and Murdoch now, he shouldn't have been having an excess of people because the charter only limits a certain amount,
Right.
paying them salaries and whatever. The emergency manager left a clause that before the emergency manager, the mayor could not spend more than $2,000 or $3,000 with council approval. The emergency manager put an ordinance in place that allows him to spend $75,000 without council approval, a variety of ways.
So you can get a contract for $74,999. Don't have to come before council.
You can look at a council meeting, when I tried to cap that back to avoid some of this excessive deficit spending, and you couldn't get the votes.
No.
A lot of those folks, Quincy Murphy,
Liddell
Lewis, Priestley,
Yeah.
Hergenrode, they ain't worked under 3 different mayors.
But they
and 3
excited,
different-
like you
Yeah,
said.
he
They
called. I mean,
excited.
you was excited
Yeah.
when you were
I was
dealing
excited too. I was excited too, and it's something to be excited about. But then when you see the wrongness, it ain't exciting no more.
He excited you. You called me an insurrectionist. Now, do you know I'm looking at the Capitol hearings now, and I ain't never come with no body armor
Right.
and guns and bust out the windows of the Capitol or City Hall. But y'all was listening. Oh, that Mays, he's an insurrectionist. All of them adjectives.
Right.
Well, one plant, unity. How
Prayer
can you build
partnership.
prayer planning and partnership? How can you build unity on one hand and call folks insurrectionists
On the other
on
hand,
the other hand. How
can't.
can you build unity on one hand and issue a press release using cuss words to cover up for
Right.
Murdoch, anybody else on the other hand? How can you say unity on one hand and go and give one of my best friends or one of the people who I managed their campaign and worked with them for 14 years and then have them come up and say the form for opera funds that Mays created is a Facebook fabrication, it ain't real. When we get in the council meeting Monday, I gotta criticize Ed Taylor.
It looks like you got about, how many, you got about 2,000 applications.
Ernst and Young called me yesterday about 5:36 in the evening.
Okay.
Brian. And so we're fixing to tell you how many and how much the residents have applied for. At this time, I don't call them just residents, I call them the voters. I did a commercial with Mayor Weaver yesterday. If we get it edited and air, we shaking hands on this commercial to release to these hundreds of voters their requests.
But do you think it's enough money left in the ARPA funds?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. I think it's enough money left. There's enough money left because it's 70-something million.
Okay.
You always, in my financial expertise of municipal government, you always try to take care of home first.
That's right.
We got a deficit to try to fix first. We had employees who worked through COVID. I was the one pushing to get them that premium pay for
Sure
2.6 million.
Yeah.
I want to get them a second round.
Okay.
We've got a police department to fix. You can't.
Crime is down.
Crime is down from the record amount of crime we had
last year. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody. It's down from last year.
Yeah, it ain't down.
Right.
We broke records last year.
Sure did.
If you don't want to break another record in murder, so say it properly. Don't tell half truths and lies. Crime is down from the record of numbers we had last year under your lack of good police administration. You can't have 4 and 5 cars per shift on the street and expect to respond to your 911 call.
No, it's no way possible that if they're not reporting it, of course crime goes
Well,
down.
if a shooting happens and you got 2 of the 5 or 6 cars or 3 at the shooting, and then you got 8 911 calls, and so it might take an hour or 2. You got to use some of that money. I didn't get to fly it. The helicopter for me was an experiment, just like the Miller Road project. When I voted for the Miller Road project with Piper, I was testing them. We gonna give y'all something on the white side for 2.7 million. Now I'm gonna ask you for something on the north side, 600,000 for North Flint Food Market. Them white folks went crazy. How much is the popcorn Papa gonna go? I can't vote for
I need a detailed line item. Yeah.
So that's why I talk the way I talk. Hergenroder, Piper, and Priestley is Republicans. Priestley sat on the Genesee County Republican Executive Board. This is a strong Black Democratic stronghold. And I'm telling you, Maurice Davis found out about that. Party affiliation matters. That's why I called Liddell and Quincy the other day, Uncle Tom's, because here you got 5 Blacks on the council, the majority. We worked hard to get there when McCree and them had 1 or 2, and so now you done gave both leadership positions of the purse strings. The council is the purse strings. We control millions. You done gave both leadership positions, president and vice president, with no Black representation in a majority city, majority Democrat, Republicans. If Republican and Democrat matters on the Supreme Court of the United States, those appointments, they matter on a nonpartisan city council
Yes, they do.
in the city of Flint. But people don't know that.
Well, did you know Herkenroder and Judy Priestley and Attorney Kim, they was all sitting up at his fundraiser.
Did you hear what Attorney Kim was talking about?
Oh, he told them they could go out 5 or 6 deep and talk.
And talk behind the scenes. He
I
said
never
that
heard
in
of
the
that
council
like
meeting,
that.
it's illegal.
It's
But he
illegal.
also, somebody said in close, he said that talking about how to legally get rid of Councilman Mays.
What? No, he don't.
Really wrong.
How many of you done seen him come and go? He don't
I done
understand.
seen city attorneys come and go, finance directors, I done seen council people and mayors come and go, and now I'm ready for one to go.
Right.
I want Neely on November 8th, God willing. I want him to have to pack his bags. I want the chief financial officer gone. I want Attorney Kim gone. When they swear in the new mayor, I'll almost be in tears if it will be Weaver bringing in some staff so we can go back to work. Mr. Neely, right now, is canceling debates, running. These issues then got so hot, he's trying to hang on. What I pray for, it's just like why I agreed to come on this show. If you had 4,900 people vote in the primary, I'm hoping 900 of them, when they hear about the degrees, the bid rigging, the money over and under the table, and they compare it to Trump and character and honesty and truth matter, I'm hoping a chunk of them 900 will switch their vote from this type of business to somebody who I'm telling them and you telling them in your testimony. You, Tanya Burns, Woodson. I don't even like to say your name, but y'all learned the hard way. And so I don't expect everybody to listen to me.
Right.
But when you spend 20 or 30 years down at City Hall, learning the mechanics of how to distribute money and help people and fix the police department, why would council people during the budget process turn down what I call a budget amendment for 3 to 4 million for blight in order to deal with equipment and personnel to clean up mattresses, garbage bags laying around? Why would people turn down 3 to 4 million to put more police cars on the street, speed humps,
and they gotta go collect all them speed humps up?
Because it was a game. It was a game being played. See, when you got a self-centered little guy, and I'm gonna say it, a self-centered little guy that tells truth and half-truths and lies, he don't want us to introduce amendments and spend money unless he can fool the public that I did it.
Right.
I'm doing it. The $300 water credit cost $8.6 million. Do you know when we was fighting the water crisis and Weaver and folks was meeting and strong arming the state government, we had $60 million of water credit versus this political $8.6 million. If you look at the council meeting about the water credits, Liddell Lewis and Priestley and some of them were saying this $300 will keep money in the seniors' pocket where they can buy their prescription medicine. Well, I said, okay, then if it can keep more money in their pocket and y'all so compassionate about this,
let's give them
I'd like to make an amendment to raise it to 600 or about. And guess what?
They got to scatter.
No.
Sure did.
See?
They was full of shit down there.
Call people hypocrites.
Yeah.
What you say they were full of?
Full of shit.
I'm gonna tell Pastor Wallace here that you can cuss on here and I can't. No, but guess what? I know I
he
can.
Gonna say they full
and
shit
still can make it there. We used to work at the plant with you.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, Pastor Hill.
Okay.
But I'm here to tell you, you let me talk a lot. I was sitting here mad. I didn't want to be on no show with Wyntis Hall or Art Woodson or Tanya Burn because I was mad.
Oh, you got
Y'all, what's
mad.
the difference of him, in my opinion, some of y'all being weak? And we was in the middle of good work. And some of that work he's claiming for himself. But I ain't perfect. I have to ask for forgiveness from God. You don't owe me nothing, and you don't owe this community nothing. If somebody fool and deceive you, all we can do is try to wake the remaining people up.
I owe the community what I'm
I
doing.
owe
I
them
owe
too.
the community for the lies that I told for him and not doing the research myself. That's what I owe this community.
Yeah, Taylor been to mess up his relationship with people who I know. If you know our class of '76, you
Was you at Northwestern?
had Northern.
Oh, okay.
Hey, it's gonna be people tripping
Mm.
because I gotta do it. I gotta tell him, I gotta say he's selling his soul for 30 pieces of silver and some gold, and he's running with a habitual liar and somebody who is telling half truth. I've noticed another thing about Mr. Neely. He'll go after you with a vengeance.
Oh, yeah.
He'll go after you with a vengeance.
Oh, yeah.
Tanya Burns learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
I learned it with Murdoch. Our people at Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church and all the other churches, they don't know that he'll go after folks with a vengeance.
Yeah.
He'll call certain state agencies and try to get you messed up.
Your job.
He's the type that'll use police and, like you say, your job. They don't know that the character or lack thereof.
Yeah.
They know, some of them know they might be in denial, but they think we just saying this about habitual liar, half truth. They don't know the get you character.
Yeah, they say, well, Wyntis, it's just personal. You damn right, it's personal. He told me a lot.
It's personal,
It's personal
and
as hell.
professional.
Yeah.
And it's trying to get you services in a timely manner because I won't be here long.
Right.
You know, I'm old. People dying left and right. And so my job is to help people know what I know, whether it's young people who will take my place as a council person, whether it's older people out in the community. Mays, I appreciate you telling the truth. Whether it's people like me and you who learn.
Right.
I didn't know some of the character traits of Mr. Neely, but when he was in Lansing, it was state reps and people from Detroit who I met.
Okay.
And they was telling us then, man, that guy y'all got from Flint, Neely, is something else.
Well, what was the turning point for you, Mace? Because I remember on when he got sworn in, and I'm like, ooh, they're going to be a good team. And it just seemed like as soon as he got sworn in, about a week or two later, you just said something wasn't right. You knew right off the bat.
For me, no, I give everybody a chance.
Okay.
Even my pastor asked me to work with him.
Okay.
You know, they're younger than me.
Right.
But when you got a brother-in-law that you done gave deputy chief of staff, and we shouldn't even give our relatives these positions. It's called nepotism.
Right.
When his brother-in-law was slapping my face in Roots and saying, back off of Neely and I, we from the streets, I knew that Neely was at Shiloh. And so I figured that was just his brother-in-law talking about we from the streets. When I told him, I said, Murdoch, if you want to touch the councilman's face, ask the councilman. I say, you don't be slapping me in my face, talking about back off from us, we from the streets, so don't touch my face no more, bitch. And he said, don't call me a bitch.
Right.
I said, bitch, and then he lit into me, slammed me on the ground. It's a hump, maybe, on my back. Now, the state police did an investigation. And when they said arrest him, and Neely put out that press release before the investigation, that was a major turning point and a wake-up call for me. I thought somebody who went to church with me, who knew
That's
me
what it was.
and his brother-in-law,
Okay.
would have asked me what happened.
Right.
But that showed me the dirty and scrounginess of it, to take a church member who your daddy was the pastor and put on a mayoral letterhead a press release saying that I was walking in the roots saying I kick his fucking ass. I walked in the roots with Dewan Robinson, another, it was six of us at our table.
Playing your key.
That was a lot.
Right.
So later on, Neely asked her to meet with me. I said, "You're on the phone with me." I said, "I seen your name pop up. Then, President, can you meet with me? I'd like to extend the olive branch and we can work together." I say, "Look, man, the pastor asked me to work with you." I say, "We can easily do that, but you got to correct your wrong person.
Right.
You put out a nasty press release on me in front of the church members, in front of the community. Go back and say you lied, correct that, and we work together."
Right.
He ain't did it yet. And so that was the turning point in the initial seeing the character and the relationship and the lives. Then it just kept compounding.
And you know another thing you ain't got
policy.
yet since 2019? The organizational chart. Hell, I guess he write that in pencil because they keep leaving every other day.
He's in violation of the charter. When you see these appointees, the Ed Taylors, the Marjorie Raymonds, the Murdoch, but you ain't got a council that holds him accountable.
So
when they held up the budget of the ombudsperson, that had something to do with her resignation.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, for two budgets. I've been fighting to get her in the ethics committee the proper budget. Now, she might have got another job, but I'm telling you, had you didn't hold it up,
because let her work like she needed to.
I think it's a possibility that things would flow smoother. They messed the charter up when they took the ombudsperson away from the council.
Sure did.
We had the clerk and the ombudsperson, and we could use the ombudsperson to issue subpoenas and do investigations and stuff. The clerk, if it wasn't for Attorney Kim and Quincy Murphy, I believe
too. She's Miss Inez would have still been there.
She's seen what that council did with me as the black president. I don't trust them.
Right.
She couldn't trust them. And I wouldn't want my reputation messed up if I was her. In other words, keep in mind who's pulling and manipulating the strings. Mr. Neely. It ain't just Attorney Kim by herself.
No, because he getting this direction from
That ain't Mr. Whittaker by herself.
Clyde, and you told Clyde, what you tell Clyde the last meeting? I wouldn't keep coming up here getting used.
Embarrassed.
I mean, y'all be whooping poor Clyde, and he just be standing there just taking shot after
people
shot.
Whooping themselves, just like Mr. Taylor done been brought in. Now, how you gonna get somebody that I've been rolled with for 14 years, help them on their campaign, just like I done helped
I
others.
know why he got Ed Taylor. You do too.
I do too.
He can't reach the hood, the black folk. He can't communicate with the black folk.
So you telling me you think that Ed Taylor can convince these black Democrats to support Neely and these white Republicans?
No, I don't
think he can. Maurice Davis thought he could. It didn't work.
This is what Sheldon is probably
remember the show Maurice Blues and News with Beverly Mike-Side?
Yeah.
He figured he was tied in. He's going to mess up Ed Taylor's reputation because people who we know don't say, "What's going on?" We call him Monty. What's up, Monty? Yeah, you know.
What you doing this Saturday, Councilman?
What am I doing this Saturday?
Yes, sir.
What you got in mind, Nicky?
I need to bring you back on for you can really get off into that, because somehow I believe he messed with our live feed.
Oh, so we're gonna do a second show, me
He
and
I
got
Mr.
keep
Mo?
to.
telling
He got
y'all,
to because
the,
this been so choppy. That's why I was trying
the
to take it
resident
off and
ain't
you
the
were
only
listening.
one that hacking
Yeah,
clear
because
But you
money.
know what just happened to us when we had that state reform was
I'm
Cynthia
trying
Nelly
to.
didn't show
It
up.
happened. It happened when we were talking about them opera funds the other day
Yeah.
on
That
Channel
17
17.
didn't even show up. Council meeting didn't happen.
Look,
Because the question I was gonna ask is it because I understand to go back to Maurice Davis, did he get caught up as Quincy and Liddell falling up under the same things? I'm hearing how they getting
Similar.
grants and
it's
getting
simple.
Oh
money.
yeah,
People getting
I heard he got a
people
lot of
got
money for them
people got
parts.
new jobs like Ali Hogan got a new position. I heard Eva Worthing got a new job. Is these the same folks that helped Maurice out and he
Park
got played with?
cleanups, certain grants coming your way, and what that's the old game, old school game.
But why would you put up a basketball court in a soccer field, which I think is great, but before winter, it's not making
Well,
any sense.
Because it's election time.
Oh,
Y'all got to put everything in its proper time and context, but you got to understand this. You can't let folks deceive and turn the corner and get 4 more years. Can never go back to normal.
Yeah.
But to Mickey's point, I wouldn't care if it's Saturday, Sunday. I don't want to be here now. As far as Wyntis, Christine Brown,
Yep,
we got
that's
a
my sister.
mutual
Yeah,
friend.
that's
She
my
got
sister.
a big sister.
Uh-huh.
Christine and worked with me on many campaigns.
Yeah, she had.
I mean,
Every campaign I think you worked on, Christine,
we
but there
pay
was.
people. We do. I got a pot of money to pay people to do door to door in this campaign.
Mhm.
I'm a campaign inside the campaign. So, look at this tape. I'm sitting here at the beginning. I don't want to fool with Winters now, but it's mutual friend.
We
didn't know.
we got the same goal.
Yeah, because
We're
it's
trying to get
900,000 people out there in the cast their votes.
Yeah.
When I checked yesterday, it was 7,000 absentee ballots mailed out. Guess how many was in? 700 and something. So it's 6,000 ballots laying on folks' table. I wouldn't care if it was winter's, summer's, springness, or autumnness. My job is to try to have these honest dialogues,
right?
And alert people. Winters could say to me, Mays, you show is foolish and an ignorant council person. I say, yeah, one of the most ignorant, but it's a method to my madness. I'm going to be truthful. I'm going to be honest. I ain't ignorant. I just call them folks Republicans, white, liars.
You meet them where they at.
Yeah.
But it shows me now a lot of the stuff that you said from the beginning, Lord have mercy, I'm saying it in front of you.
Do
You was
know?
telling the truth, and it goes all the way back to Joyce McClain. She sat there and she said it.
I ain't leaving.
They ain't right.
Do you know if it wasn't for y'all, I could be governor now?
If it wasn't for me,
yeah,
I ain't got nothing to do with you.
You got influence.
I ain't got that much influence to be governor. Hell, I'd be governor my damn self.
The point I'm trying to make, whatever y'all was saying on social media, you influence people his way.
Well, now I'm trying to influence them back the other way.
Yeah, you know what they say when they say the train done left the station, or it's something that you're trying to put back in the box, like a jack in the box.
Yeah.
It's easy for it to hop out.
Right.
But then you have to close it.
Trying to hurry up and close that damn box.
And what's so sad about it, it's affecting innocent people.
That's true.
And that's the sad part about it. And I don't know what it is. Maybe they believe him because of the way he looked. Maybe they believe him because of the way he talked. But everybody's saying, not everybody, but a lot of people saying, what has he done? I say he used adjectives, big words.
That's it.
He renamed the street and put a statue up. But it really ain't no substance.
He did nothing for the north side.
And he done lied and tried to mess up people's character. Tanya Burns, y'all, and others, he done frustrated people and made them mad. If he do that a little more, we will win. Because we gonna vote.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna vote. I ain't got but two choices.
Right.
I'm not gonna write in Eric Mays.
Right.
I'm gonna vote Weaver or Neely.
I'm gonna vote Weaver. We
And
gonna
I
vote
got
Weaver.
people who voted for me. Not all of them, but a lot of them said, Mays, I voted for you. Who you gonna vote for in the general? I say Weaver. They say, well, that's who I'm voting for.
Mm-hmm.
For the next 3 weeks, my job politically is to keep saying Weaver, and Mo Weaver.
That's right, Weaver.
Well, don't give it all to him right now. We're gonna finish this. What time is you free Saturday?
So we're gonna do it again Saturday?
Listen to me.
Yes, sir.
What's the day? Thursday?
Yes, sir.
What's tomorrow? Friday?
Yes, sir.
What's the next day? Saturday. What's the next day?
Sunday.
The House of
What's the
Lord.
next day?
Monday.
What's the next day?
How about Tuesday?
And what's the next day?
Wednesday.
And what's the next day back to Thursday?
Yeah.
I'm working on this every day
So
for the
we
next
doing
3 weeks.
That's right.
Put my best foot forward. And when people call, I can get anywhere in Flint from one place to another. I want people to catch on like wildfire.
Because we want to talk, we want to let the people know, we want to get into the garbage contract, how he messed that up. The business.
Not all these personalities.
Right.
No, we want to talk about the real business of what he done lied on and break it down. You got
I also want to talk about what can do
to make
if
it
we
better.
get the right people
Right.
in place. We can put police on the street, address public safety, we put cameras, we can really put public safety issues in place. We can order equipment, personnel, hire people as it relates to
Intel Center, what happened? The
we
witness
can
protection
get
program.
these 79 million in ARPA funds broke down into people's houses.
That's what
Right.
they need.
It
Instead
ain't too
of
many
going and
times
sliding on a damn swing
and
in a
helping the
park.
big shots. It ain't too many times you can promise in a campaign to get 10,000, 20,000 into people's houses.
Right.
It's kind of too late for them now. This special meeting Monday, they struggling.
They are.
They trying to
But that's
do
sad,
something.
Maze. You said it. Maybe it's the messenger. You remember
Months ago.
saying that?
It is the messenger because that's part of the politics. If you or Mickey tell me something, I'm not going to take it and say, I was sitting at home in my living room and I had a premonition. I'm going to say, Wyntis and Mickey told me as I looked at it, I'm bringing this resolution because it made sense. It's enough credit to go around.
Right.
You ain't got to steal people's politic and ideas and call it your own. This guy picked up where we left off.
He said he got
3 years
95%
has
of
been
the pipes
squandered.
done.
Let's get it back.
Right.
I'll do whatever you need to, Mickey.
So Saturday
let's call a
let's
point
do
of
it.
order and
Point
say,
of order.
hey, stop talking.
See y'all Saturday then.
Saturday at noon?
Yep.
You mean
Nah,
you'll see who?
Me and you. We're going to do this again.
Me and who?
Me and you. Come
Me
on,
and
man.
who?
We've been doing good.
nah, we gotta redo it. I gotta
We're
come for the end.
going to do this. We got to
See
go.
y'all Saturday.